Let's bring in DELE FAROTIMI. Perhaps an opportunity for you to explain to us the business of Labour Party as far as the presidential campaign is concerned. How has it been so far?
It's not been, for us, it's not business as usual. Most of us we're having to learn to, you know, when the antelope births in the African plain, the baby must learn to run within minutes of his birth or he dies. You know, we are the ones that have no structures. We have no governors, no ministers. We have no big men. We were once upon a time even existing only on Twitter. So we are learning the rope every day, and we are trying our best to let our people understand that there is really no difference between the PDP and the APC. We are trying our best to let our people understand that they are the same, more or less, Siamese twins, and they have the same in store for the people. We don't have the structure that allows us to do. We are mosquitoes. Let me just put it that way. We are already mosquitoes. We are constantly on the street. We are having town hall meetings. We are holding rallies. We are having maybe the more structured rallies, such as the one we had in Ibadan, where we were at Adamasingba Stadium, a continuation of which we should be seeing by next week, when I expect that we'll be in Ado-Ekiti and subsequently in Akure as well. So we are doing our best to let the Nigerian people understand that we are not a third force. We are in actual fact a second force, because what they would have imagined to be the first and second force, the PDP and the APC, are actually twins, one and the same. Whether you vote in Atiku or you vote in Baba Emilokam, Mr. Asiwaju Tinubu, at the end of the day, you are getting more or less the same thing. Those who will be in APC today would happily jump to PDP tomorrow. But God forbid that we have such calamity befall us again. Our own intention as a party is to show Nigerians a different way to govern, to lead the people, provide them with leadership, not this consumptive system that has been engendered for the last 23 years and even beyond that, and where you've had principal persons who are asking today to come and perform miracles, being part and parcel of exactly what they are saying they want to come and fix. Mr. Peter Obi was in government for 8 years. His record in government is out there in the open for everybody to see. The only criticism I have heard of him, interestingly from Uncle Okowa, His Excellency in Delta, is that he saved money. That is the kind of person who is saying, look, I want to offer you a different type of leadership, a new way of doing things. Let the people be served, and let it not be that the people are the ones constantly serving the masters, which is what those who govern Nigeria have effectively become. So we are looking to move Nigeria from that mindset where you are constantly borrowing to eat, where you are spending the bulk of money on recurrent expenditure to maintain the rulers in style. We are trying to let them understand that this is not the way it should be, and we should focus on the development of our production capacity, unleash the creative industry and the capacities of the Nigerian people. And in the coming days, we'll see these in more concretized form in the form of the manifesto, which is imminently due for release. But the candidate himself has spoken to it on several levels, and he has spoken to how we have to restructure the country to make it more lean, more efficient, and in a way that focuses on delivering for the people instead of the rulers. He has spoken extensively to state policing. He has spoken to development of the infrastructure base of the country itself. He has spoken extensively to the need to cut waste and corruption. He has spoken extensively to the need to re-engineer the security architecture of the country, which has seen us effectively in a continuous civil war for almost 2 decades in one form or the other.
Okay.
Nigeria has been at war with itself. These are issues that need to be tackled. If we focus on agriculture and we don't have security for the farmers, what happens?
Okay.
Abandonment of the farms. So at the end of the day, what we are looking for...
We'll come to the specifics. We'll come to the specifics later. Let's get in Chase ANIAGWU here. DELE FAROTIMI says P2B is different from the APC and PDP. To what extent is that true, and what different flavor is your candidate bringing into this campaign and, of course, the election?
Well, thank you very much, Amici. You know, when my brothers talk about this issue of difference, they don't even really understand the issues, or maybe they think all of us were on holiday when P2B was in ABGA. He even swore that he would not leave ABGA. Yet, eventually, he left power and abandoned ABGA and jumped into the PDP. He was in PDP. He even got to the very high level of becoming the running mate of Atiku just in 2018-2019 election here. And March this year was when he left the PDP and now jumped into Labour Party. And yet he's talking about people who leave PDP and go to APC or APC to PDP. Maybe those who have even moved between the two political parties, compared to his candidate, who even when he started in 2002, maybe he has forgotten, was not initially even in ABGA. But that is not the issue. Now, in terms of saying that PDP and APC are the same, I think my brother FAROTIMI may have forgotten that PDP, when he came into power in 1998, when he came into power in 1999, of course, starting from the formation of the party in 1998, the party came in, bet a number of reforms. Amici, let me remind my brother what makes PDP quite distinct before even coming to the candidate, because the candidate of the party, Atiku Abubakar, was at the center of a number of things that the PDP achieved, particularly in the first 8 years of the return to democracy in our country. Let me remind him that the PDP midwifed a number of reforms, institutional reforms. It midwifed reforms in the banking sector, which of course we call banking consolidation. It midwifed reforms in the stock market. It midwifed reforms in terms of fighting corruption, and that led to the creation of 2 anti-corruption agencies, particularly the ICPC and then the EFCC. Not also forgetting the establishment of the Due Process Office, all with a view to curbing corruption. The PDP also midwife reforms in pension, so that we're able to migrate from the old pension system to a new pension scheme that is much more digital. The PDP, beyond that, also midwife a number of reforms in the education sector and even in the maritime sector. All these different reforms were to make our country work better, but not also forgetting electoral reforms, which is why we are talking about now moving from where we were in 1999 to where we are today. And so these are the things that makes PDP unique. In the economic angle, Amici, my candidate has been able to put down a document, his manifesto titled My Covenant with Nigerians. His candidate at the moment does not even have a single document. He tells you that he speaks to this, he speaks to this. We are not just speaking to those issues. We have clearly outlined those issues. He also talked about a consumptive economy and then a manufacturing economy. And I laugh. Let him go and check all the businesses where his candidate holds sway. I need to remind him that next a supermarket or more, it belongs to his candidate. And to the best of my knowledge, that business has been very much involved in the importation of goods that have made it difficult for even Nigerian goods to thrive. And so when they talk about this, it's not talk is cheap. But in our own case, we have a candidate that has been into production for a very long time, and the companies are very well known. Beyond that, Amici, there are 5 thematic areas that our candidate has said is going to be able to tackle the challenges confronting us today, and then recover our country for where we are. Starting from the issue of unity, of course, you know we are very heavily challenged today, to the extent that anybody who sees another person that speaks another language or belongs to another ethnic groups begin to have a sense of resentment. And at the end of the day, do not want to identify with that person, even when that person is a Nigerian. Yesterday, we kickstarted the Delta 2022, where you have Nigerians from the 36 states of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory converge on Asaba. You needed to see the love, the unity that exists. That is what Atiku Okowa want to bring back. He said on Kokowa, he called my boss, accused P2B of saving money. That was not the contest. That you were priding yourself of saving so much money. I'm happy, Amici, you are from Anambra. You know that even a number of people in Enugu cannot even feed. In my local language, they say you don't save the yam and the barn when your children are very hungry. It is good to save, but you must first of all tackle very serious challenges. The inner cities and towns in Anambra have been in the worst of shape. The markets have been in the worst of shape. And so when they come and pride themselves about saving, and in any case, save well. He saved those money in the banks where he had interest. Fidelity Bank is a case in point. A bank that was very, very sick at that time, he just, did he save that money? Put 1 billion today, put 2 billion tomorrow. You take as much as 25 billion. You put it in a bank where you have interest. You did not touch it because you want the bank to stay alive. And they keep telling us that the man saved money. They should not allow us go into those details because we believe that is not what Nigerians want to hear. We want to concentrate on what we want to do to make our country function and function for all of us.
Okay, DELE FAROTIMI, I expect some response from you, and also speak to the issue of from production to from consumption rather to production. How you intend to actualize that if you win the election?
The gentleman, Mr. ANIAGWU, had a lot to say, and you must definitely offer me the opportunity to rebut. He brought the issue of character into issue. He's brought character into issue. And character is important, especially when you're asking for the highest office in Nigeria. I would refrain from speaking to anything that is not already in the public space and is not already established to be facts. So, since character is an issue, let us first of all deal with institutional reforms that is principal supposedly led. So today, we're talking about institutional reforms in the banking sector. And yet, that banking sector is incapable of lending to any idea, be that creative or anything, unless that loan is fully securitized. It is only structured for trading, nothing else. We're a capitalist economy, quote and unquote, where there is no capital available to anybody. But he's talking about institutional reforms in banking. I'm happy to let them wear it. The second thing he spoke about is institutional reform in corruption. I laugh. In a country where monkeys are swallowing money, the EFCC only ever chases around the young boys whom the elders have taught how to steal. But all the politicians who are busy stealing, they are promoted, they are in cabinet up and down the place. But the man is telling me about institutional reforms. You are talking about the transformation of thieves into saints in broad daylight. And you are talking to me about institutional reforms. Okay, we're talking about institutional reforms in the maritime sector. Is that the one that led to Intel, where your principal could one part of the Commonwealth? Is that the kind of institutional reforms we're talking about in the maritime sector? Look, let us be clear about something. My people have a proverb. They say, the plantain rots and we talk about is ripening. The reality on the ground is that they might paint the sepulchre all they want. But the PDP and the APC are exactly one and the same. They have conjoined together to take this country to where it is today. And now we are talking about candidates' business. Exactly what business does Mr. Atiku own, or does he do? The university that he got the license as a sitting vice president, the same one that is made in the controversy in the United States about how it was financed and paid for, the American license, is that the one we're talking about? Is that the business, or is it Intel? And then you talk about a man, you say he's importing. Your guy was a custom officer. If the man had imported something that was contraband at any point in time, it would have been impounded. So let's be very clear about something. He says sense of unity. What unity? The same one where a man who had been vice president of this country could not even hold a tweet condemning mob action that killed an innocent girl. He had the tweet deleted, and you are talking about sense of unity. The sense of unity that does not make him realize that he should cede the seat in the PDP to the South. Is that the one we are talking about? Please, save me that sense of unity. That sense of unity, and then you now speak about savings. I will not speak to the blackmail that you have raised related to whether money was kept in a sick bank, whether somebody had some interest there, because I know that if there was any substance to the accusation you have raised, we are not going to be having this discussion here. It would have been had in the office of the EFCC and the relevant authorities. So I'm not going to speak to that blackmail. But let's be very clear.
Okay.
The Nigerian people are not blind. They know the difference between light and darkness. We know as a fact that Mr. Peter Obi represents a different way of doing things. He's not a saint. We're not saying he's Angel Michael. It is up to those of you who are his traducers to find the kind of evidence that you can stick on his back. But the fact remains that he is not your run-of-the-mill Nigerian politician. We're not saying he's a saint. We're not saying that he will be the cure-it-all, be-it-all. We all have to own the change that has to come. But Mr. Peter Obi cannot wear those gaps. It is actually very funny when I see representatives of either Mr. Atiku or Mr. Tinubu pointing accusing fingers at anybody. It does not lie in their mouth. It does not. They don't have the credibility for that. Don't let's even begin to do all this.